Zodiac chat line and the interweb is messing with my life. Let's try again. Welcome to the Zodiac chat line. Girl, why? Why? Okay, guys, it's November 1st, 2024. Welcome to the Zodiac chat line. I'm Tanae. Cassie just joined the crew. The internet loves me. Hey, girl.
Hey, how's it going?
Fine. She, in fact, was not fine. Okay, so
Narrator coming in with the truth.
girl. So we are really in Scorpio season, and Cassie and I discussed this just earlier. Like Cassie is water sign queen, and I'm water sign rising and eighth house energy. So we love us some Scorpio season because, girl, if we ain't gonna get to nothing, we gonna get to the depths and the truth and the realities. Okay, Scorpio season, exposure, rebirth, death,
Mm-hmm.
all the
Transformation.
all the things you don't want to deal with. That fixed water is like too bad, so sad. Here to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are fully into Scorpio season. The sun went into Scorpio on the 22nd of October. Today, of course, is the new moon, and I like that it's on 11/1. I love those little symbiotic days. I don't even know if that's the word I'm looking for, but
Synchronistic.
that is exactly the word I'm looking for. See, that's why we work together. Synchronistic days. And it usually does open a cute little portal until 11/11. So this is a really good new moon to be manifesting on. Mercury is still in Scorpio until tomorrow, where it heads to good old Sagittarius. Venus is also in Sagittarius. And on 11/11, where does it go? Capricorn. Mars is still living its best life in Cancer, but will move to Leo. So this
Best
is a lot.
Best is doing some work there. I don't know
Girl,
if Mars
it
is
is its best life because that is where it's going to be for a minute. So every
Yeah.
Cancer, y'all better enjoy this little powerful energy. Hey! Speaking of Leos, now, but Mars will move into Leo on the 3rd of November. This is a very interesting transit, but we'll talk about that later. Jupiter is retrograding in Gemini. Saturn retrograding in Pisces, but it will go direct on the 15th of November, joined by the full moon in Taurus again. We'll see you then. So we'll talk about that later. Uranus is still retrograde in Taurus because Uranus has been hanging about it forever. Neptune is still retrograde in Pisces. And folks, Pluto is hanging out at the last degree of Capricorn. And boy, am I excited. Because from 2008 until now, as Cassie told y'all earlier, we ain't got to see this thing for about 260 some odd years, and we ain't even gonna be here. So
Nope. That's
let's
that's our descendants' problem. Sorry, but also not sorry because we're living it now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that if you are paying attention, you are seeing a lot of interesting shifts with the end of Pluto and Capricorn, whether it be about authority, whether it be about hierarchy, whether it be about exposing people's public personas, um, capitalism, how male authority and leadership is probably and hopefully coming to an end because you've had your chance and like look at where we are. So
Yeah.
let's try that other chromosomes. But I will say the new moon was exact. It is definitely too much, girl. But the new moon was exact earlier today about 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's a good time now until the 3rd to set your intentions if you'd like to. There is what they call a little void, of course, meaning like the moon is kind of not around. It's not really a good time to manifest. And that is early in the morning on the 3rd. So get that stuff done today or tomorrow so you can hang out on the 3rd. But as Cassie and I have noted, the veil is very thin. Okay. Like protecting your energy and understanding, communing with your ancestors. Cassie has an amazing information about all of the celebrations at this time. So tell us about it, girl.
Yes. So the new moon in Scorpio hits at a different time in Scorpio season every year, but this year it happens to coincide directly with Dia de los Muertos, the Mexican festival, Day of the Dead, which is actually not really a day, but like a multi-day celebration that also lines up with All Hallowtide in the Catholic Church, the series of All Saints Eve, All Saints Day, and All Souls Day. And both of these festivals involve, I mean, the Catholics gear it toward praying for the dead and for saints, but Dia de los Muertos actually, you create altars to your ancestors, offer them sweets and libations, the things they liked in life. And there are very interesting festivals globally that happen at this exact same time of year that serve similar purposes. Kekri in Finland is called the last thing left. So it's right before it becomes very, very dark there. And it's a festival also for ancestral veneration. It welcomes the spirits to earth, and also is a time that's used for divining what is going to happen in the year to come. And then the Polish festival Zaduski is the commemoration of all the faithful departed, where they also welcome the dead with offerings. They go to bed early so that the dead have more time to play and not feel like intimidated by the living in the households. And they pray for people's souls, especially those they believe may be in purgatory. And I find this all really interesting because there is just something in the air this time of year, a real clock switch. Samhain celebrates that too. This is the Halloween, October 31st is the halfway point between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. And so this period from now until the winter solstice is the darkening period, and it's when things die. And we have to acknowledge death in order to make the most of our life. And that's Scorpio season so interesting because we have Halloween where we put on costumes in order to express ourselves truly. We, touch on these intense and deep subjects to lighten ourselves. And we turn to our dead ancestors to give us guidance for our current life. And I think, holding all of those thoughts as you make your intentions, especially I personally intend I haven't made my intentions yet. I did my ancestral altar last night, and I plan to center my intentions around ancestral thoughts, like
Mm-hmm.
how can I be a good ancestor to my
Mm-hmm.
descendants. How can I honor my honorable ancestors, and how can I transfigure and transform the parts of my ancestry that are less than honorable for future generations. And so, that's just a thought, run, if that interests you. I think that it's worth thinking about
Ab-
with this
ab-
Scorpio full moon or new
ab-
moon, excuse me.
absolutely. I am one that has had I've had an altar, and I can't even think of how. I mean, it hasn't been that long, but it's been so long that I don't remember making it. I don't remember creating it. And people that know me know I have lost a lot of people in my life, and especially a lot of my matriarchal lineage. Um, I have lost my mother, my grandmother, and my great grandmother, and I was alive to actually get to spend time with my great grandmother. I know a lot of people don't get that opportunity. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and I actually did not spend as much. I spent the almost the least amount of time with my mom, which those three women created me, all of their strength and all of what they had to go through because they were Black women in America. And because my great grandmother grew up in 1908, my grandmother was born in 1925, and my mom was born in 1950. And so none of these women really were able to. I was fortunate from the time I was born. I was able to be, civil rights had already passed. I had a lot of rights that my ancestors did not have. And so for me, I am just so grateful to be a descendant of these people and honoring them in Scorpio season. And, you know, I think my intentions are towards them helping me continue to heal my inner child and be okay with learning new things and like remembering having the joy of the child. You don't have to be so serious all the time. It is what it is. But I think those are fascinating. Also, Janelle Girl Coco is one of my favorite
Oh,
movies because even though it's a kids movie, but it really does talk about keeping the ancestors alive. And I think that we all should listen and take heed to there were people before we got here, and if it wasn't for our ancestors, whether they were had positive things to do or negative things to do, we can learn from both of those aspects and incorporate them into how we continue to be living on this earth, and then how we will be ancestors to our descendant, as Cassie said. Um,
and sorry,
oh
before
no, go
we
ahead.
leave this topic, I think it's important to note too that if you don't learn from your ancestors, you're going to repeat them because their memories are in your very DNA. Like the scientists have
Mm-hmm.
done studies on this. They electrocuted a generation of rats, put an electric fence around them so that every time they hit this border, they were electrocuted. And those rats' babies didn't go past the border because they inherited the memory
Hell
of the
no.
trauma. And like those are rats, guys. Like
Right, right.
we carry that stuff from our ancestors, and we can let it go, or we can change it. We can and even just acknowledging it is changing it, because sometimes you if you don't acknowledge something, there's nothing you can't help that. You can't do anything with something that you don't recognize as being there.
At all. And
Hi,
Janelle, I think
Garrett.
that that is one of those things. Janelle says she's going through her lineage through slavery, Reconstruction, and Jim Crow. And I find that as we move to our next topic, you know, the election is in 4 days. There are a lot of things about this that are unprecedented, especially that a Black and South Asian woman of color is running for president and is extremely qualified. Um, and I sometimes imagine what my mom or grandma would or great grandmother would think about this being an actual possibility. Like it's not that she's a candidate, like she is in there. Like there is a chance that she could win. You know, I think those of us that know hope for the best. But going back to the ancestral history, like if we on both sides of this do not think about our ancestral history, and a lot of that stuff we can see, as Cassie said, is ingrained in certain folk. And you know, as a person of color, as a Black person, like I am not trying to be defined by my trauma. And the fact that we have such an amazing candidate that is able to articulate her plans and to really just be like, all right, y'all, look, I know y'all want to talk shit and be mad, but like the country needs help. So we can either be mad or we can move forward. And I encourage everybody, if you have not voted, early voting, get your ass up on Tuesday and be in that line, okay? Because ain't no excuse, ain't no excuse. There is never any excuse at this point in our lives to not vote anymore. Whether or not you think the system is rigged, this, that, and the third, maybe it is, but you not putting your voice out there doesn't help you. And there are very few people who this election won't affect either way. And y'all know who you are. You probably not even listen to the show, but y'all know who you are. Um,
I heard a really good interview with AOC
mm,
talking about how to speak to progressives about this election, because a lot of progressives are very concerned about the way the Democrats have responded to what's going on in Palestine. And I mean, people are disaffected all across the political spectrum, but her point was, be practical. How are we going to get in there? Like you're not going to get in there staying mad. And she said one thing that gets said a lot in the halls of Congress is you stay with the person who brought you to the dance. And by that, she means candidates who become elected stay with the groups that showed up to vote for them. So if progressives are the ones who tip Kamala Harris over the edge, she's going to owe progressives. But if she wins and it's mostly with independents and disaffected Republicans, those are the people she's going to owe. And if Donald Trump wins, we already fucking know. He doesn't feel like he owes anybody shit. He's only going to stay with the people who are using him for their own ends. So, like be practical. You're never going to align fully with any politician. The US has been genociding since been the US.
How
Like
you think my people got here?
I don't mean to be like cruel,
No,
but
it's
that's
real.
like all over the world. It's just that it hasn't been in our faces on cell phones for until modern times. And like I'm not saying
Imagine
that's a
if
bad thing. It's a good
imagine
thing. But
if
like
the Gulf War was actually as we could have
or
seen it. Like,
Iran Contra
yeah,
or like,
the
what we were
Vietnam
doing in
War.
Cuba. Yeah,
Yeah.
like all of these things.
So,
We just didn't have, everything was so far away from us that we got a completely filtered,
mm-hmm.
distilled down, if you got it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be
Yeah,
practical, people.
you
Like
really
we
do.
have to be practical.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I told Cassie, this is my seventh presidential election voting, and I've voted since the year 2000. And so I am proud to be able to cast my vote for the first Black woman president, just like I cast my vote for the first Black man. Okay. So I think we all can agree that genocide is wrong, but I think we all can understand that not having our own autonomy in our own country helps no one. It literally helps no one. Ooh, not the Leo taking a step back.
yes,
What? What is this Leos? All these Leos is up in the chat.
we love the
Like, we
Leos.
love the Leos love us. You know me. I love you a good
Yes.
Leo. All the homies is Leos. But Dan the Hairman said he's taking a step back and focusing on a strategy to set himself up for success later. Scorpio, the long game is under an understatement. Scorpio plays the dead game, okay? Like long before after you're dead, they're still playing the game. All men shouldn't be in charge. Not that y'all shouldn't be in charge. Y'all should just have a really smart women around you. Because notice, Joe Biden had a smart vice president. And what did he do? He nominated Ketanji Braxton Brown Jackson, a smart woman. Okay. I'm just letting y'all know.
Leo connecting in the comments.
Like
We
I said,
love
I
to
like
see it.
Dan. Oh, yes. Honestly,
Dan's a
yeah,
good
Dan's the
one.
man. Dan's the
Yeah.
hair man. Yes, a shout out to Nicola, Dan, and Janelle, all the Leos in there. Um, telling us how they're feeling because we love
Yeah.
Leos and their feelings. But I think Dan, that's a really great idea to taking a step back anytime during a new moon, and especially doing a season of depth that Scorpio.
Yeah.
And earlier, Cassie, you talked about the death, about like how we were talking about all those celebrations. And in tarot, the Scorpio card is represented by death. And a lot of people hate seeing that card, but for me, all that means is transformation. It doesn't mean a literal death. It just means something is done and we need to move on from it. And I think that this is pretty great timing and apropos that this election is coming where we need to dead something that's no longer working and transform into the country that we want to be.
Yeah.
And that country is moving towards more Pluto and Aquarius energy of a collective energy and not a very self-serving energy.
Yeah.
Um,
Janelle, I feel you on the thing, and we kind of hit on this in the beginning, but it bears repeating that because this is Scorpio season, because we have this very potent new moon happening right during this portal period of all the ancestors and all the spirits coming to us. It's important to cleanse your energy,
mhm.
release, cut ties with any energy that has come to you, carry a nice obsidian stone or a
Burn that shit to
smoky
the ground.
quartz, light incense. I went through yesterday and washed all of my doors in like
Oh,
salt water
smart.
and
I will be doing that
put I have a
tomorrow.
lavender and salt mix that I like to put in doorways and window ways, and I just like tell my house, like, only love can enter here. Like, we're just keeping away any energy that is not loving. And like I had to do it several times during trick or treating because it was very busy, like try to visualize a dome of light around my body
Mm-hmm.
like that just I've read a couple different ways to do this, and so put this out there to all of you. What kind of makes sense for you? One was, it's an actual like more solid thing that things just bounce off of and reflect back. But then I read somebody else had a version where they envision like a white light mesh that allows things to come through, but the mesh transforms it into positive energy for
I
you.
like that. I like
I
that a
like that.
lot.
I've been ever since I
Hmm.
read that, I was like, okay, I'm taking that
You
little
got
tip.
one. You got one, girl.
Yeah.
But
So,
I think overall, just at this time, and especially with this election, because it is a very charged and emotional election on both sides. I mean, and on all sides, not even both sides, because they're not just two sides, but on all sides, I think everybody feels very, very passionately one way or the other. And I think that that's great because that means that change is coming. Because if we were all apathetic to it, we wouldn't have this much energy coming through. But I say protect yourself. There is going to be a lot happening in the next couple of days, and I took election day off because personally I just wanted a moment because I just needed to be prepared either way. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So hopefully we are raising a glass at the end. But I'm a mentally prepared. um and the last thing we'll say on this is, if you want to know what the people on the streets is thinking, go to Don Lemon's TikTok because that man is interviewing everybody, okay? And he has the facts. So just go to his TikTok and check it out. That's all I'm gonna say on that. And with that said, we about to get into the Scorpio celebrity check-in because we I love me a good Scorpio girl. Like, especially Scorpio women.
oh,
Ooh, girl.
yes. Mm-hmm. Mwah.
Women. All day,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all day, first choice all the
Yeah.
time. Because they're funny to me. I'm just like, okay, girl, I see
Mm-hmm.
you. So Cassie and I, because we like the same people, went with the same people. But Cassie, you started off, so we could talk about.
Okay, our first celebrity Scorpio celebrity check-in is not one of my first lady crushes, but maybe one of my hardest ones. She is a, you know, incredible dancer, singer. Okay, we'll talk about Scorpio men in a minute. Rapper, mama, and she is also the queen of Halloween. We're talking about Sierra, Atlanta's own. I love Sierra. I think Sierra is so sexy and so cool, and she is very Scorpio female energy, in as much as like she projects just this like
Oof.
hot,
Mm.
like ooh, but is funny and subversive
Mm-hmm.
and just it
Living her best life.
yeah, and
Okay.
collected. Like, that's something I think Scorpios don't get enough credit for, is they're the only water signs that are like collected. Like, and the smolder, yes, Dan,
Yes. And and
absolutely.
and some of her songs is still a bop to this day. I don't care how long it's been. Her career alone gives death every girl. Her career alone, not just her career, her whole relationship status.
Right,
She
personal
said,
life.
speaking of Scorpio man, she pushed that one to the side and said, "Let me upgrade
Mm-hmm.
myself." And I ain't never seen nobody smile that much every day, her and Serena Williams, because they got men that love them. Okay.
Yeah.
But Sierra, if y'all don't like, go listen to any of her songs, is a bop. I mean, and as Cassie said, for the Queen of Halloween, if you have not seen her do Glorilla with her interview with Speedy,
So good.
Amazing. She also did, I think, a TLC one, and then she recreated her ride because everybody knows that.
That's what I was about to say. Go watch that video 45 times in a row on YouTube, like I have many, many
Oh,
times.
yeah. So
It will have
Sierra
you
girl,
questioning everything.
Sierra girl, you get all everything.
Flowers,
Just
flowers.
sprinkle you, sprinkle you. Um, So our final one, yes, I meant to like her celebrity, like the fan. Oh, you right.
Mm-hmm.
You was absolutely right, girl. And she's been around for a minute. Like, I don't think y'all realize Sierra just turned 30. She hasn't even turned 40 yet. She'll turn 40
Yeah.
next year. So like, and she's, I think at least 20 years she's
Yeah.
been
Mm-hmm.
in the game, if not. Hey, God Mom. So the other Scorpio that Cassie and I decided to salute, and we don't normally salute Scorpio men, Janelle. We gonna tell you that because a lot of them just deserve to be
Problematic.
not even put in the trash. They need to be put in the sewer.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that we do want to shout out is President Joe Biden, aka Dark Brandon, because that man decided to just say, you know what? I'm gonna step aside. I'm gonna let this lady take her right, and I'm gonna make sure that y'all know I hate you. And I don't care because guess what? I'm about to be retired in Delaware on the beach. I don't got to do shit. And really, if I wanted to, I would just retire and say, you know what, Kamala, fuck it. Here you go. But he trying to be real cool with y'all, and y'all keep messing with that man, Sleepy Joe. That man was playing y'all like a motherfucking fiddle. He more coherent than the other fucking dude that we don't want to talk about. But I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying, we love me a Joe Biden for being talk about revenge. He playing that. That man was I'm telling y'all, I don't think y'all know. Joe Biden plotted and said, I'll let go in time whenever I'm ready. And that man said, oh, just in time, right before. Yep, you have your Republican convention. Oh, see ya. And went on about his business. Long game. You ain't never lied. You ain't never lied. And I think you're right. The props for quitting is insane. Well, but reality, like
But for real.
he's a fixed sign. Fixed signs don't quit. Come on, y'all Leos, no.
And
You gonna quit when you ready to quit. Can't nobody tell you to quit.
and Joe Biden's not just a Scorpio, he's a Scorpio Taurus. Like he's a Taurus moon. So no part of him wants to be moved, has any desire to break with his
Nope.
plan. And
Nope. And
so
didn't.
yeah, it is. It's like it's a long game. He on some level had you almost think he had to have been planning that because I just think
It was
or the
just
like the physical circumstances like his health was so much worse than we know publicly because somebody with that energy just doesn't decide one day to
no.
stop
But
like
but he is 81.
oh yeah
And that
he's
man has served our country longer than I've been alive. I didn't even do the math, but I'm guessing it's at least longer than I've been alive.
no I think he would started in the Senate in like 72 or something or
Okay. Again,
74 yeah
longer. Oh girl, diabolical. And that's the whole gag is that the as much as the other side was talking shit, he was just like, I don't give a fuck. I'll take all the blows. Because what happened was she just slid on in there, raised $1 billion, and has had an amazing campaign because he was like, and go. Like he literally was like, not yet, y'all, not yet.
mm-hmm.
Now it is. So, and he's a politician, so you can't tell me like, no matter how old or whatever you think his cognitive health was, like, I think that he has done exactly what he should have done as a president. He knew that it was not. He there was no reason for him to run for a second term. He was not physically, mentally, and emotionally in a state to really continue to carry
For
that.
4 years.
And I wish somebody else could figure that out, but we know that narcissists don't do that. So I think that selfless act shows to you that, like, as much as you think Scorpios don't have that, the deep emotional feeling in conjunction with his Taurus moon allow that man to really see the bigger picture and the long game.
Mm-hmm. So,
So
Joe Biden, congratulations on being maybe the only white man we've ever, certainly the only one that's ever
ever,
been the headliner for the celebrity
ever.
check-in. So,
You might be
Kudos
the
to
only
you.
one ever. Okay,
Yeah.
good. It's only because this has happened to be the time in life. Because I promise you, next Scorpio season, we
No.
ain't gonna be talking about no man.
We're gonna say hello to Eve.
Uh, girl, if you're watching, I love you.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Me too.
So with that said, none of y'all be hitting up this chat line, and I think we're a little offended because, like, I know y'all be texting. Like Cassie said, if the politicians can text you, bitch, you can text us. Okay. Tell them what that number is.
313-416-9541. Text us. Okay, I found out that you can't, I don't know if you can leave, somebody should just leave a like a voice text for us, because if you call, like, I have to pick it up. You can't leave a voicemail. And we got a call from a number in Mexico the other day, and I was like, I'm not answering this. I don't know what kind of fees apply to this. It's 313. Hold on, I'm going to type it in the chat too. 313 416
Mm-hmm.
9541.
Mm-hmm.
It is also in all of our social profiles. If you ever forget, you can save it. If you
Under
it,
Zodiac chat line.
right. And, like, do you have a question? Like, I'm even willing, I'll pull a card for you.
Yeah.
You want me to pull an oracle card? I'll snap you a picture. I'll send you a picture of the description. You know what I mean? Like, we'll do this.
You want
Let's,
some advice on new moon intentions?
yeah.
Ask us.
And it's free. It's a Google phone number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And
I
we
don't
just want
think
to
it's
get
scooping your
talk.
data or anything like that.
Yeah.
We certainly aren't. I don't know how to do that, and nor do I have any interest in doing
We're
that.
like Zennial boomers.
Right.
If you know, you know. All
So
right.
yeah,
With that
hit us up.
said, I decided to pick a deck that open invite game on. Look, here's my hair flip for you, Dan man.
Right.
Bring it on there. With that said, I love this deck, the Sacred Spirit reading cards by Anna Stark, not Tony Stark, but Anna, like my mama. So
Oh,
we check out the back of these lovely cards with what is it,
tree
Cassie?
of life. I love.
And as you can see, these cards are quite colorful. They have um, messages at the bottom. They do use a lot of numbers. And if you're into like numerology and numbers, it's really interesting to look into, especially with the synchronicities. If you see repeating numbers, it's always a fun thing. That's my thing on license plates. I don't know. And
Mm.
and I'm like, can I really be seeing this many? I guess so. I'll stay with it. I'm in tune. All right, Cassie. Whenever your magic says we should
All
listen, I am here
right,
for it.
let's do it.
All right. She says, let's do it. Ooh, that's it. You better get it going, girl.
I love it. Oh.
So we have mindful wisdom number 28, create inner harmony.
Oh.
Ooh, I love me an owl too, girl. I love me an owl.
It's one of the, like, three animals that I've had very strong
Mm,
dreams, like, of. So I consider it one of my animal familiars.
I love that. All
Remember when we
right.
heard an owl when you were at my house? Sorry, I'm done.
Girl. When we're together, it's like the universe is like, ooh, ancestors unite. Like the two ancestors that probably wouldn't have ever united, they're like, oh, look at what they brought together. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Mindfulness is the simple act of being present in each moment, but for most people, it is not always achievable during daily life. Complications of employment, relationships, children, social activities, and career choices can all seem to distract us from achieving this goal. It is only when you choose to become present that you receive clarity of consciousness, peace of mind, and objective understanding surrounding current issues. The owl is a representation of inner knowing and mindfulness, patiently and carefully monitoring their surroundings, followed by clear and direct action. You may be feeling confused about people's actions, but like the owl, we must observe our surroundings to the best of our abilities to see the real meaning of a person's actions of or the origin of specific issues. Now is the time to journey inwards to access your inner knowing and personal wisdom through mindful practice to create a homeostasis and equilibrium in your heart and mind. Bring yourself back to a heart space where you can approach anything with calmness and clarity. Right now, place yourself of value. When the owl appears in your life, it encourages you to use strong intuition to gain wisdom about matters that you shouldn't ignore. More importantly, self-worth and confidence. Tolerance can be achieved through objectivity and inner peace, acknowledging all our experiences so we can be objective with our emotional and mental processes. Instead of reacting immediately out of anger, mindfulness allows you to be aware of this anger, helping you realize why you are angry and then process the circumstances surrounding this emotion. This new form of emotional intelligence allows you to physically react using a positive process and method that is beneficial to you and others, while understanding the reasoning behind their behaviors. The shadow aspect is stubbornness, impatience, forgetfulness, and thoughtlessness. The sacred crystal is Charorite, Charoite, and the angel assistance is Archangel Ezekiel, forgiveness, releasing judgment, and painful memories. Remember this affirmation: I react sensitively to others as I respect my personal
Ooh,
boundaries. If,
ooh,
if that ain't a Scorpio word, girl.
a pre-election Scorpio word. Boom.
So, as the theme has been going, cleanse, meditate, and activate with your ancestors. Okay. And really take care of yourself these next couple days and this next week. We are Time is moving forward. Okay. You are not allowed to crash out, ma'am. You're too old. You are, what do they call it? Scoot boogie. What do they call it? I can't think of what else, but we ain't crashing out at this age. Okay. It's under 20. Okay. So 25 and under can crash out. That ain't you, player. But just
Hug.
make sure that you see, there's Cassie with that. I'm the real one. I'm like, fuck your feelings. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I love you, girl. But
It's hard out here.
just take your time and one day at a time. um this election will be over. I mean, we will have some sort of resolution. Cassie and I both agree it will not be on election day. It will probably be a couple days after that, maybe a couple weeks. Who knows? We understand that this is never going to be regular. But what I do appreciate is that we all have the rights and the choice to make our voices be heard. And for those of you that are the boomer Zennial generation, and I mean just Gen X and Zennials, this is our time. We have been around for a lot longer than the younger generation, and it's time for us to make sure that we understand what we want to do for our next 20 plus years, that we are able to make a change and guide those beneath us. So with that said, Cassie, I love you, girl. You and me, it's always a dream. And y'all have a great rest of your week. It's all love, and we out of here. Go Kamala. Peace.